Well, this morning we have with us Rev.Terry Dearmore, who's going to be talking on the good and perfect solution. And he has asked that we start the talk with a meditation. So get yourself comfortable and we will have a meditation. Settle into your chair. Breathe slow and deep and focus inside. Silence the chatter of the mind. Still the impulses of movement in your body. Seek that place in your heart where you open your being to all that is. For it is there we experience the flow of life, the flow of health, the flow of love, and the flow of being. And as you open the heart and experience the flow, be one with the flow. Let go of any obstacles or stresses that may be hindering your attention to the flow. Let go. Let yourself be the flow. Within this flow, we receive guidance. Within this flow, we receive forgiveness. Within this flow, we receive inspiration. Within this flow, we belong and are accepted and treasured. Feel being in the flow. Feel being loved. Feel being treasured and accepted. Feel being pure, without condition, without mandate, without requirement. Be the flow. And within your heart, experience the joy and peace that comes with being one. Thank you, God. Thank you, presence. Thank you, power. Thank you all. And now let us return to our service, filled with the flow. Well, this morning we're happy to have Terry Dearmore back. Good to see you, Terry. I'm glad that you're in front of the fields of Provence. I've always loved that view. Terry is speaking to us on the GPS, the perfect system. I don't see my screen, Kyle. Are you there? There we go. Well, Terry has been a professional musician in Nashville, and he's also a graduate of the Unity School of Religious Studies. He's been an associate minister in Nashville and a co-senior minister in Fairfax, Virginia, before founding Unity of Norman, Oklahoma. He presently lives in Pennsylvania, and I think you're retired, if I'm not mistaken, at least semi-retired. Is that right, Terry?
Well, it varies between retired and semi-retired, given the moment.
Well, I'm sure you're in demand. I'm curious about your experience at founding a church. What was that like for you?
Well, it was curious. I went back to my home state of after a dissolving of a marriage. I went back to my home state in Oklahoma, and thought, well, I'll just go back there and everything will be like it was. And to some degree it was, and in other ways, who is it? Tom Wolfe said, I don't remember exactly who it was, said, you can never go home. It's not the same. It just isn't the same. So, but I went back there and I founded a church in Norman, Oklahoma, the home of the University of Oklahoma. I thought at least there I will find some open minds because it's a very conservative state. And I did, and it was quite wonderful for a time. We had a group of about 40, 50 people on a Sunday, and it was going quite well. And then I don't know what happened. It just sort of, it must have been like, well, okay, got what I wanted. Thank you very much. Goodbye. And a lot of people started dropping out and didn't necessarily want to attend some of the meetings. And so it got quite small again. And then finally I thought, I think I'll go back to Virginia, and because there was a small church there in Chantilly who had contacted me and said, would you consider coming back here and being our minister? We are losing or have lost our ministers, husband and wife. And I said, let me think about that a while. I thought about it for a couple of months and then I came back.
Was that all pre-pandemic, Terry?
Oh, yes, that was. And that was like 2005 when I came back and joined that church. And by the way, the church is still, I don't know if it's thriving. I can't say that, but it is still active in Norman. And they changed the name of it from Great Plains Unity, which I called it, to Unity of Norman. And it's still meeting in a different location. And as far as I know, I know they've gone through a couple of different ministerial changes after I was no longer there. But, things change and things move on. So that's how that was. I'm glad that I started that church. I'm glad that they are still active. I feel like I did what I was supposed to do and moved on, did what I needed to do in Chantilly, Virginia. And they still meet as a Zoom group, just as you all do. And because of COVID. And they decided, hey, you know what? We kind of like this. Uh, so we meet with them every once in a while, and they very much, they have the same format that you have. They have different speakers each Sunday and rotate them.
Yep.
Okay, that's it.
Well, let's hear what you have to say, Terry. I'm interested.
Well, I'm talking about the trip, the journey today. So being in the flow really fit in. Thank you so much for all that. Because that's kind of where we are. We are in a GPS situation. Have been our entire lives from the moment we cried our first cry in this particular plane of existence, and will be until that comes to an end and another one starts. In the meantime, we are being led by Spirit. But like I said, it's very much like a GPS. We know that to be a global positioning system. And how that works, of course, is that you have a little receiver or a transmitter and receiver that you either have already installed in your car, or as in my case, in my 2014 Ford Hybrid, I had already been using for quite some time a Garmin a GPS system, which I liked immensely. I liked the sound of the woman's voice on there. I liked how it guided me so well. So I decided I'll just leave that in place and not take that extra $2,500 hit to have that installed, already installed in my car. And I still use that Garmin in my car, and it works just fine. It's just a wonderful little device. All I have to do is update the maps once a year and just put it back in there, and it works great. And I think this is leading into what I want to talk about. You mentioned this in meditation, that we are both, or it's mentioned in your in the beginning of the service there, that we are both spiritual and physical beings, as we all know. We experience that. In the physical world, for us to get from one place to another, it's very helpful to have this GPS, this global positioning system, in our automobiles, so that we can make the trip or the journey from one place to another. Now, it may be someplace you've never been before. It may be someplace that you are common with going, but you want to know what the traffic situation is. You want to know whether this is the best route for you. And these global positioning system devices will do that for you. So to make any kind of trip in the physical world, first you have to know where you are, or know where you've been. You have to know about, secondly, you have to know where it is you want to go. And third, you feel like if you are going to get there, you have to place into the global positioning system a desired address or a desired place that you want to go, your goal, and then you move on. Now, here's what happens to us. We, in our spiritual world, have to first know where we've been. We have to realize that we are connected deeply within and purely within with Spirit. Spirit of all, and Spirit consciously within ourselves. Secondly, we have to know where we are right now in that system. We have to know where we are in the present moment, that eternal present moment, that here and now moment within each one of us. Thirdly, or third, we have to know where it is that we want or feel that we are going. We have to look at all that and decide. And finally, we have to reach out and find a way to get to our desired destination, to our goal. That's the way it works. Now, the first thing you do when you are getting ready to go somewhere, you type in a state. It'll ask you, what state is it you want to go to? When we do this, we look at our state of being. We look at ourselves and we decide for ourselves, what is our state of being? Are we happy? Are we sad? Are we in fear and worry? Are we in bliss? Are we content? Or are we living in delusion, fearful, conflicted? Any of these states of mind come to us in our physical being, but in our spiritual being, none of this is ever affected. We aren't affected by age in our spiritual being. We're not affected by illness or sickness. We're not affected by the outer conditions of the world at all in our spiritual being. Our spiritual being is endless, oneness, fully engaged in love at all times in every place. That's hard for us sometimes to be fully aware of, because the outer is constantly yammering in the background, busy little thoughts and sounds coming to us from the outer and only from the outer world. So if you want to get to a place spiritually, in the outer world, in our GPS, we have to type in the state we want to go to. We have to type in, secondly, the city and the street address. And we wait for the satellite to make its connection and determine where we are at that given moment, and determine the desired location and create a planned route. Now, the same thing is going on in our spiritual life. We tell ourselves and convince ourselves the first thing we want to do is seek a good and perfect solution for everything that comes in our life. As we do this, Spirit says, got it. We know exactly where you're going. We know exactly how to get there. We know exactly what to tell you at any given moment in order for you to get there. And we launch out. Now, just the same as in our outer system, in the world out here, oftentimes the GPS will speak to us and it'll say, turn right, then turn left. Huh? Turn right where? Turn left where? We take it for granted, and on faith, we'd make a right turn. And then the nice, calm voice says, turn left. So we go down to the bottom of the hill, we stop, we look both ways, and we turn. Here's how that works in the spiritual. We listen to or get some sort of idea, feeling, intuitive nature tells us, listen to that voice, listen to that urging. And we do, and on faith, we make that turn. We make the next turn. And then we are on our journey. That happened to us when we took the first breath. Take a breath, then speak. And that's what we did. And that's all we knew at the time. But on faith, we continued on in our journey. And as we have continued on, we've learned more and more about how this journey operates. Now, we reach a stage in our development as a teenager, let's say, maybe before that, but depending on how precocious a youth you were or have seen in your own children. And you decide, I'm going to just launch out on my own. I'm going to see what else is out there. Spirit immediately says to you, when possible, make a U-turn. In other words, go back and stay on the path. But we, in our developing ego, say, not going to do that. And so we launch out on our own. We keep going, and Spirit says to us, when possible, make a U-turn. And it says this a few times, but if we are ignored, it doesn't speak to us in those terms anymore. Instead, it says, recalculating, 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 and it develops a new, good, and perfect solution for us to stay on the path of realization of who we truly are and where we are really going. We continue on this path of our own for quite some time, and sometimes we ignore, and sometimes we're not listening to, and sometimes we're not even aware that there is a spirit speaking, nudging us in the right, good, and perfect way. Instead, we just stay on our own path. We listen to the outer world. We listen to our ego. We listen to whatever we think is the right and perfect way. Until usually, most of us come to an awareness, I can't do this by myself. There's too much confusion out there for me to stay on any good and perfect path. I just can't do it. I can't do it alone. Help me. And we finally let go. And when we do, suddenly we hear that voice inside us again. We hear it. We feel it. We're encouraged by it. This encouragement leads us to step forward, become one, seek out like-minded people, giving us a way back to ourselves, our true selves. So, we do it. We have been led by the nose down a road to where we are no longer going to achieve being who we truly and fully are. But now our eyes are opened, our heart becomes open. We come to a place where we can accept, I can't do this by myself. I must listen. I must learn. In the learning, we realize who we truly are. We realize our oneness with all people and all things. We give up the idea of an other, and we realize that we are all one. When we do this, peace comes to us. A perfect peace. A peace we can live with. A purpose and a peace we can live by. We no longer try to be in conflict with other people. We no longer try to be in conflict with ourselves. We simply listen to the still, small voice within. How do we get there? We use that inner GPS that is within us through prayer, which is speaking out, and meditation, which is listening within. We have built into us the perfect way to contact God, Spirit, oneness, power, and presence, however you wish to see it. When this happens for us, then we are on the way. Then we are back on the road. Yes, we will still have to, when possible, make a U-turn. We will still have to have Spirit saying to us, recalculating, but we are listening now. And we get back on the path. Oh, I realize now. I thought I was doing Spirit's bidding when all the time it was still my ego sneaking in there, doing it for me, trying to keep me separate. And we all know that separation is hell. It really is, to feel separate from. And we stay back on the path again. We're all getting there, a little bit at a time. And as I said earlier to Doug, more will be revealed. God bless.
Sorry, I was muted. Thank you, Terry. That was a very inspiring talk. I appreciated the fact you gave us items to follow, and I really appreciated the realizing of the deep connection that we have with Spirit, no matter where we are, and how that deep connection, if we trust it, will take us where we want to go.